Because we're live at LeakyCon and reviewing Deathly Hallows Part 2, this is MuggleCast episode 234 for July 15th, 2011. This special live episode of MuggleCast is brought to you by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audiobooks with more than 75,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature, including fiction, nonfiction, and periodicals. For a free audiobook of your choice, go to audiblepodcast.com/MuggleCast. And by Hypable.com, a brand new entertainment website from the staff of MuggleNet. Visit Hypable for up-to-the-minute coverage of Harry Potter, The Hobbit, Merlin, True Blood, Doctor Who, Torchwood, Glee, and over 30 other fandoms. That's Hypable.com. HYPABLE.com.
Hello, everyone. Let's wait for Eric. Welcome to MuggleCast Live in Orlando, episode 234. Very exciting. This is actually really exciting. It's a brand new development. Ben is now an employee here at the Royal Pacific Resort. Congratulations, Ben.
Thank you. Got this shirt.
Why are you wearing that?
Huh?
Why are you wearing that?
Because I saw it in the gift shop, but I was like, hey. So I decided to buy a
I thought you were like,
shirt.
now that Harry Potter's done, I need a new job. I know. I'll just live next to Hogwarts.
Well,
for
all of my MuggleNet shirts, you know, I had a steady diet of MuggleNet shirts for a long period of time, and they're all like the logo's all worn down and everything. So
just before our panel here, there's a Pottermore presentation here. Actually, what I wanted to do, because I personally had a lot of questions while watching, so I wanted to get anybody's thoughts. Anybody have any comments or questions about Pottermore? Obviously, we don't have specific answers, but I thought it'd be good to have some sort of interactive discussion on Pottermore. So does anybody have any questions or comments about what they saw today? Here, you can come up first. And I have to say, does that work?
No. Well,
go ahead now.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I just want to know how you can earn more money to buy more things.
how you can what?
Earn more money, the galleons in your Gringotts Bank, so you can keep buying things.
Well, I think what it is first of all, I don't think it's like Farmville style where you actually have to pay real money to get that. I think what they're doing is they are giving you a certain amount of money to start. And part of the beta process is Melissa's going to come out and knock me on the head with something. Part of the beta process is them figuring out how much money they should be giving you when you start with your account. So
what can you do with the money?
You're going to be buying, like what you saw up on there, the potions and the different items. The school supplies.
Is it going to be like The Sims where you can just hit Shift Plus and like make your money
like
just
Rosebud?
go up?
Nice reference. We should ask about cheat codes because everybody's like, oh my god, this is a video game, Okay, here's another comment about Pottermore. What's your name?
My name's Haley.
Hi, Haley.
My major concern is the amount of time that you have to spend on the website to get extra information. Do you know if, like, to get all of J.K. Rowling's extra text, do you have to sit there and click around and explore? Or can you just access the information in a different way?
Well, here's what I think, and I know they're going to hate that I'm saying this, but you know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to create a site called allthenewpottermoreinfo.com, and you just go to it, and you find everything just copy and pasted from Pottermore.
Isn't that called MuggleNet?
Yes. We're announcing today our new Pottermore section where we're going to annoy the Pottermore people by just putting all the info. No, but I think the whole point of Pottermore is that you do have to explore. So you are going to have to go through it. Of course, unless people actually copy and paste the info. Did anyone get a good look at the new stuff on the screen? Because it went by so fast.
I looked at some of it.
What's that?
I looked at some of it.
McGonagall was particularly interesting. I was hoping to see McGonagall fell in love with a woman, and it was, big revelation. or McGonagall and Dumbledore got together, and then Dumbledore realized it's not his type of thing, and then
like McGonagall turned him.
Next question here.
Hi. I was wondering, did they say how, when they were releasing the new books? Like, what's the time period between
They
them?
said Chamber of Secrets in the middle of next year.
Okay.
And then the other books over the next few years. I think that's actually one of the more exciting things about Pottermore is that there's going to be new books coming out for, 3 or 4 years? Or
new
5?
books? You mean like you experience the new book?
The new experiences, yeah. So the Chamber of Secrets experience will be coming out next year. Right. Sorcerer's Stone obviously being the one that comes out this year.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And just based on the things that they are going to be able to do, like not only sort you, but the wizard duels that's ongoing, it's going to completely fill the time in between each release, of each book.
Is it going to be like, are they going to have like parties? Like, I don't know, like people
Release
on
parties?
Skype, like in their pajamas, like counting down and all that?
Well,
you know what?
You'll be able to get together with members of your own house, so who knows?
Honestly, though, you would think that would make sense because, the night Chamber of Secrets, or the eve of Chamber of Secrets release on Pottermore, you're going to want to, you're going to be really looking forward to it because you're about to learn about all this new information,
They did say, though, that they would not do chat rooms. They said that's not part of their thing.
Not do what?
Chat rooms.
Oh, chat rooms. Yeah, but you can leave comments, which is...
That's right. Comment party.
Next question.
Hi, Cyrus from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was just wondering if you guys think there's going to be any Quidditch, involved?
Like playing Quidditch?
Anything at all.
There was something I read up there that said, welcome to Hufflepuff, hope you enjoy Quidditch, because we haven't been that great over the years, so... I don't know. Who knows?
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Oh.
Hey, hold on, wait a second. We have it here. You want to come up real quick? She asked... Who was that? Who was with Melissa? I forget his name. Jamie. Really cool guy.
Not our Jamie, though.
I asked that after his presentation, and he said that it wasn't going to be so much an interactive thing, like that it's not like a game or anything.
Right. You wouldn't be flying on a broom.
Right. But it is a chapter in the book. Like,
cool.
There's the flying lesson, but I think you might just watch.
Okay.
Like, there might just be pictures or something.
Cool.
It'll be one of the moments, I think.
Yeah.
And you'll probably learn more about Quidditch. And didn't Joe say you are going to learn more about Quidditch? I think during the press conference, the Pottermore press conference, she had said that she does have a dialogue between Harry and Dumbledore where Dumbledore explains Quidditch. Someone back me up. I'm not the only one who read that.
Cool.
Yeah?
It makes sense, too, because how many chapters in the Harry Potter books are dedicated just to Quidditch? Or one Quidditch match, the Quidditch final, and things like that.
So you think Dumbledore is going to, make some profound explanation for how Quidditch
is blow
really
them
like
all
a
away.
metaphor for life or something like that?
How would that go?
I don't know. I don't know. There's something about choices and all that.
How does that go?
Stuff.
How does that go?
It is our choices.
Next question.
I'm honestly kind of curious if they're going to start having new merchandise, because they showed us all the new house crests, and I kind of wonder if they're going to make patches or something, or they
actual
said,
merchandise?
Like actual
Physical
merchandise. They do ebooks, so they have a shop, so they have plans for a shop.
Yeah.
Well, what if they expand that shop to include T-shirts with the crests or something?
Now, they did stress that Pottermore was completely free, but I believe that was when they were talking about the content. They were talking about the content.
Right, the ebooks are the things that you have to pay for.
They're going to sell ebooks. I don't know. I have a feeling that a lot of this content that's created specifically for Pottermore is going to remain on Pottermore as a prize, as something special to the following, because this is a thank you, not a please pay up.
Well, the ebooks are still paid for, so.
Yeah.
Right, ebooks, yeah.
Which will be interesting how they do it, because you're traveling through the books on Pottermore, but then you have the opportunity to buy the ebooks. So they're two separate things. It's not because you don't have to buy the ebooks to participate and somehow still follow every scene in each book.
Right. Pottermore is Joe's gift to the fan, but still buy the books. Wink. Yeah.
Now, is there going to be a leaderboard, where it's oh, this person is our number one fan kind of thing?
Well, you're supposed to be a student, so I don't think they would call you a fan. You would just be a student. Oh. But I remember on the graphic up on one of the slides up here, they did show a little leaderboard, I think, on the house pages, and it may be for best duelers or something like that.
Yeah, you can earn points for your house. Makes sense.
House points, that too, of course. Miss Waldo is right here asking a question.
Hi, guys. My name is Aya, not Miss Waldo. My sock monkey's really excited to see you. But
well, thanks for coming.
Thank you. I was just wondering how you guys thought they would be able to manage the content aside from choosing our username for us, because there's, artwork and comments and.
You mean like moderating it?
Yeah,
it all?
Because it's supposed to be child appropriate. You
right.
know, there's just so much.
Well, I think they're going to have a lot of filters in place to make sure that there's nothing inappropriate that goes up. And then, of course, they could always delete stuff if something inappropriate goes up. But
and wasn't that what that whole Follow the Owl thing was about? Because they were like a million special people get to be like the
beta testers.
Beta testers.
Yeah. I forget where I was going with that, but do you think that
yes.
Do you think that they might get to be like moderators or something like that?
No, I don't think so. But
I think Kevin Stack actually worked on that.
Yeah, did he?
That's where he's been the last 3 years on MuggleCast.
What about Jamie? Where is he?
He was just here. He did this presentation, that Pottermore presentation.
Trust the Brit. Trust the Brit.
No, he's in England. Sorry.
Why?
Jamie died.
Okay, let's get. Okay. No. No, he didn't really die. He was on the show a few weeks ago, right?
Okay, before we continue with this live episode of MuggleCast from Orlando at LeakyCon, we'd like to remind everybody that this week's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audiobooks with more than 75,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature, and featuring audio versions of many New York Times bestsellers. For listeners of this podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook to give you a chance to try out their great service. One audiobook to consider is Water for Elephants, a book that was recently turned into a film starring Rob Pattinson and Reese Witherspoon. It's an atmospheric tale of life and love in a Depression-era traveling circus. So for a free audiobook of your choice, such as Water for Elephants, go to audiblepodcast.com/MuggleCast. Again, that's audiblepodcast.com/MuggleCast. And now let's get back to the show.
Hi. So me and my fiance were just like vehemently debating about this issue of the sorting. Whether maybe some fans wouldn't want the houses that they've identified with for years and years sort of messed with. It's kind of personal, or whether, Joe's method might be like, the ultimate authority, like she devised this way that you're sorted, and whether that should really be what people accept themselves in. So
pretty much, what are your thoughts on the sorting process?
You know what? You bring up a really good point. I mean, some people who started reading the books maybe as early as Sorcerer's Stone and, in 1998 or 97, they read the books. They read the book, that first book, and were like, wow, I'm a Ravenclaw. And for the past 15 years, they've called themselves a Ravenclaw. And then to go on this and be told you're not Ravenclaw, like, that's got to sting a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, all that goes to show is that you don't know yourself very well. Because if you knew yourself, you would know what house you actually are. And I think that so many people are in denial about their house. Like, you can't just pick your own house. Like, that's not how it works. You don't.
Harry did.
Okay,
Harry suggested it,
and he would have done well in Slytherin and all that. But,
Eric, are you going to buy new robes if you don't get into Gryffindor?
I might. I also have a Cedric Diggory outfit, so I got at least 2 of the houses covered. So
I think Joe's corrupted us because everybody's like. Back when I first read the books, everyone I talked to claimed to be a Gryffindor. Just because Harry was a Gryffindor. And I think there needs to be more house diversity. And I think if you get sorted into another house, like, don't close out your account and like retake the test to get into the house you want to be in. Just like accept it.
Yeah, he stressed that there was only one chance at this, so it seems like they've had that decision made for quite some time that, like it or not, it is going to be in some ways definitive, and by the only person who can make it definitive, J.K. Rowling herself. But the other thing is that the books are slanted, that they show more Gryffindor. So when he did say that we'd learn more about Hufflepuff, perhaps if, I take the quiz and I'm disappointed a little bit at being sorted into Hufflepuff, Hufflepuff actually has the most new content. So to look at it, that way, and I'd learn a little bit more about it and maybe understand a little bit better why I was chosen for that house.
Next question or comment.
I was kind of wondering if you guys could kind of provide more insight on the username process, because I was wondering why them choosing a username for you would kind of keep us more child friendly. I don't really
Sorry, the
understand
what
that.
process?
Like, you know how they choose a username for us?
Oh, yeah.
I don't
How it
really
helps
get
child
how
safety.
that really works. That's all.
Well, because so you can't do a username like something we probably shouldn't mention here. You know what I mean? So you couldn't use an explicit word. An expletive.
Well, there's that, but there's also, you can tell children to say, well, don't reveal any identifying information like lives at 4 Privet Drive, Little Whinging, Surrey, at Pottermore.com. You know.
Right.
So in this way, they've used words like moon and crescent and cat, and it'll be really cool to be, because it's like something you get directly from Joe too, is another alias. Which
but that's not really from Joe. I mean, you know.
Well, it's from the construct that is Pottermore, and so everything that we see here is going to be tied directly back to Joe, and Joe is responsible for everything we find on there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Next question.
I'm a little curious about how the House Cup is going to work, in the sense that since we're following through the books, like at the end, will Slytherin be winning and then suddenly Gryffindor wins? Like, are we really, are we guaranteed, like, I'm guessing, it feels like it's not obviously going to be the exact same results as the books, or is it like, so it's just the internet community that's actually going to have to fight each other to win, and like, what house will actually win in the end?
Well, maybe that just won't be a moment in...
Because didn't he said that the House Cup winner will be right before they release the next book? So right before they release in 2012, when they're about to release Chamber of Secrets, we're going to find out who actually wins, whether it's Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff,
Yeah,
or
that's
whoever.
interesting.
I'm curious about that.
But maybe Joe will submit an alternative ending with the winning House Cup, or the person who wins who won the House Cup. That's just a joke. Don't worry. Next question.
Hey guys, you know, the first time I saw this when they unveiled the Pottermore thing, I was really afraid about people with websites or people like me who are thinking about, you know, making a site. I looked at this and I thought, oh, she's trying to like close down all the people that have their own websites or something like that.
Nah.
Copyright getting into that. I'm still a little worried about that. What do you guys think about, you know, people who just want to have their own site? I mean,
Well,
this
what do you
isn't
mean
a
your own
substitute
site?
for that, right?
What do you mean? Well, yeah, one of the things they've said from the start to the fan sites is that this is nothing to compete with you guys. This is something entirely new. And of course it doesn't compete with us because there's all this new information by Joe.
Right, there's the Harry Potter lexicon, and I want to see that going on, yeah.
Yeah, what did you say?
Oh, I said I think Pottermore is actually a help to anybody who's
Definitely.
reporting on Harry Potter and, you know, the Harry Potter brand online in general.
Yeah, it definitely gives us more content, more to talk about on podcasts.
Right. All right, second to last question. Hey.
All right. You guys are the best, so thank you so much.
Thanks.
And my question is about the sorting. If you're sorting into Gryffindor, will you ever find out about Hufflepuff, or like?
Yeah,
what
that's
about
an
the
issue,
other
right?
houses? Yeah.
Check MuggleNet for more info on the Hufflepuffs.
We're gonna have all the information right there for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
She kind of jacked my question, but I have another question related to hers. If let's just say that you are in Hufflepuff, and of course you are going to get more information with Hufflepuff. Let's say that MuggleCast or whatever decides to take that information. Is that all going to be copyrighted, or are we going to be able to share that?
Oh yeah, there will definitely be cease and desist.
I'm kind of
letters.
figured that there would be, but I was just wondering like how we're all going to be able to find out, like she said, you know, the information. Yeah, like the other houses, because I mean, there's going to be so much information that we're never going to find out because the accounts are going to be locked to where you can only get one house unless you want to share it.
You know, with the internet these days, this stuff is everywhere.
Yeah, people will find a way.
Yeah, I mean, and we'd love to post it on MuggleNet, and they'll probably be like, haha, no, take it down. But yeah, it'll always be there. You know, with leaks these days, like when photos from the films leak and they go up on MuggleNet and Leaky and all the other sites, and then they also go up on Tumblr, and then WB is like, take that down right now. And we're like, but it's being tumbled everywhere. You can't, you know, it's kind of an unfortunate struggle.
But do you think J.K. Rowling, well, I think that's something they're probably going to work on through time, figure out how to not isolate the fans by 75%. If they are only giving them specific house content. That said, it is the Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw, Gryffindor, Slytherin logo that you're going to see when you log in, and they're tailoring the specific information. So it really is a question: are they going to leave it to us to have a hub, which I think they'll probably find another way, maybe even down the line, to give you the same information, but not right away. They're going to jumpstart you with information that pertains to your house to give you a more interactive experience.
But what if there are like house secrets? Where like it's like secret information that pertains to just your house that you don't want to tell anybody else about because it would be like telling your family secrets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Maybe click the button, take the unbreakable vow.
Okay, so now let's talk about the movie. Everybody saw Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 last night?
Who cried? Did anybody cry? Raise your hand if you cried.
Okay, I want to talk about that first, and this is gonna upset some people. But I've heard numerous complaints about the sobbing.
About what?
The sobbing. The people crying. It was so loud, right?
Let's recount our experience.
Well, listen, it is justified. It is justified, the sobbing. I shed a single tear. But I was also reaching over Ben, consoling someone else. So it was like I was taking care of someone else, and then it was a big ordeal. It was just like, listen, I'm not complaining about the sobbing, but I've heard from an alarming amount of people who are actually annoyed at people crying.
Well, I mean, they kind of started off the film with a double whammy. It's like, here lies Dobby, free elf, and then Harry's like looking at the mirror, and it's like, wow, this sucks.
But yeah. So, I don't know. Was anybody else upset by the sobbing? Like, I feel like it almost, in at least our theater, it got into a competition, like who could start sobbing the most. So you would just hear like,
yeah, it's like, I'm here to watch a film, not watch you cry.
It's
right.
It was two completely different experiences, because when I saw the movie on Saturday, it was with a bunch of press who, had no idea what was going to happen in the film, and there's no real emotion. And then you go and see it with everybody else who's actual fans of the series. Just a completely different experience.
Right. Yeah. It was brutal, because it started, I would say about 45 minutes to an hour in was when the real tears started going. And it became this competition where it was just, at first you would hear just, and then, and then somebody else on the other side was, just a chorus. And
it's like you're preparing
what's that song
yourself.
called? The dueling banjos,
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
No, it's like you're preparing yourself. You know the moment's coming when the scene's going to show up, and you're trying to how much are people going to cry? What are they going to do?
Yeah. Somebody told me there was somebody crying even just before Snape died because they knew what was going to happen, so they were preparing themselves. When you're about to go over Splash Mountain, you just start screaming ahead of time. Or at least that's what I do. I don't know if everybody else does that.
Yeah, I mean, can we blame them?
Yes. No. Well, and on the opposite end, as somebody just said, what about the cheering? I mean, there was a lot of great cheering, too.
Yeah, but that's a lot more positive than
Yeah, that feels bad.
I mean, I kind of little bit lost it when, he's all talking to his dead parents and stuff. When I read the book, that scene really resonated with me, but yeah, I mean, when that happened, I was like, whoa, this got real. And what surprised me was how quickly, that didn't surprise me, this was part 2, but they just went right into the action,
Yep.
There was no messing around, which I thought was awesome.
Mm. At one point, I tried to get the audience clapping with me because I felt like occasionally there was just I couldn't figure out why everybody decided at that moment to cheer for any specific reason. So what I did personally was at one point I just went, yeah! But it didn't catch on at all. It was really bad.
In fact, Andrew, the kids were at our screening, and I saw them look at you when you did that. You're very impressionable.
Yeah. And then I don't know if anybody else had this issue, but we were sitting in front of Andrew Slack, the guy from the Harry Potter Alliance. And I love Andrew, but for God's sake, he's sitting there. And those chairs, they need some WD-40 on them. They're squeaky. So he would start leaning back, but he does it really slow. And these are crucial scenes, quiet moments, and you just hear, and you like petted his head at one point, and I just like put my foot up on his seat to try and stop him because like, what are you doing? Do you not hear this?
Suffice
Sorry,
to say,
Andrew.
though, the 8th Harry Potter film moved him.
Doors that way, buddy. Just kidding. That's funny. So let's talk about favorite scenes.
Ooh.
All of them. Princess Tale, I think. Is that generally everybody's favorite scene? A comment. Well, we'll get to them all. We'll get to them all. A comment. A lot of people I've been hearing, and Melissa brought up on the Leaky Mug yesterday, was that Alan Rickman deserves an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. And it's deservedly so, because in the other films you kind of see Alan or Snape as, you know, the way he is a great Snape, but you really don't see any emotion out of him until this one, and I think it really struck people, and that's why now they're saying, you know, Snape or Alan Rickman Best Supporting Actor. What do you guys think of that scene? You're crying already, or having an allergy
I'm just
attack or
crying
something.
thinking about it. Not really.
Not
like
really.
There's something with the lights and my nose and all this stuff. Like honestly, I wish I could remember more of like the movie. Like it was just all such a blur between all the cheering and the clapping and the crying and Andrew Slack moving his seat. Like then next thing I know, the credits show up and I'm just like, whoa, what? How did that happen?
Micah, what do you think?
I just thought it was a great scene, an amazing scene.
What other ones did you guys want to talk about? McGonagall? And I assume you're talking about the moment she walks out onto the steps and says, "Do your duty to the school." Yeah? Oh, and fighting Snape, too.
Defending Harry, yeah.
Yeah. Personally, my favorite was the moment when she walks out and brings the statues to life. I mean, that was great. And that was another one of those applause cues where everybody really applauded.
What did you think about the line she gave after that, though?
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like when she said, "Oh, I've always wanted to do that spell," just because as somebody who's she's an older witch and she's just doing the spell now for her first time. I mean, granted, okay, this may be like the first battle where she has to bring the statues to life, but she's never brought statues to life before. I don't know. It was just a moment of comic relief that I felt wasn't needed because she just delivered these really badass lines and then she has to do this little joke.
Well, maybe Dumbledore used to be the one who activated all the statues and stuff, and he never let her do it because it was his thing. So now she's like, finally.
Okay.
That's true. Wasn't he Transfiguration teacher? He used to be. Dumbledore used to be the Transfiguration teacher.
The line about Seamus, or the boom.
Yeah. What was it? Was it the penchant for blowing things up, or pyrotechnics? Pyrotechnics.
Mm-hmm.
She's alliteration. It was great fun.
Yeah,
but
it was great.
McGonagall was really good.
What other scenes? Snape. Well, yeah, we talked about. I mean, we didn't talk specifically about that one. Snape holding Lily's body, which is not in the book, right? Yeah, that was another one of those sobbing cues. That was a big one.
Wait, Draco and Voldemort hugged?
Well, it was kind of one-sided. Draco was crossing the courtyard. You know, he hoped to get away scot-free, and Voldemort kind of suckered him into like a nice little, yeah.
Ben turned to me at that moment and he said, "Why is everyone laughing?" And I was like, "Well, because Snape and Draco and Voldemort are hugging." It was just, but you know what I thought about that? I may have brought this up yesterday or to somebody. Voldemort was so good in this film because Ralph Fiennes kind of pulled off like this Joker from The Dark Knight, where he's so evil but also crazy and just silly, and moments like that. And then there's also a moment, I think a little before that, where Voldemort makes a little noise. He just goes like, "Ooh."
Yeah, I think that was one of its Horcruxes was destroyed. It was just a shot of him, and he was like, "Ugh." And then he like took it all in, but the camera didn't move.
Speaking of that, those realization scenes where you see where you see Harry and Voldemort both realize that another Horcrux has been killed, where Harry experiences Voldemort's pain. The one part was when the one time when Harry jumps into the lake and then he comes out and Voldemort realizes that that the cup has been stolen, and you just see him freak out. And then there was another one later on, which was around that time, I guess.
Yeah, each time Harry learns what the next Horcrux is, or where to start to find the next Horcrux, which I thought was, it's different from the books where, Voldemort, he has that memory where Voldemort, first learns that Harry's destroying the Horcruxes, which I think happened a lot sooner in the movie. But just the whole pattern made it really flow a lot better, Harry's journey to destroying the Horcrux and kind of explaining how that can realistically be achieved.
Yeah. What other favorite scene should we talk about? Oh, Neville. Okay, yeah, let's talk about Neville. And then I think I heard Bellatrix. We should talk about her. So Neville, as in the books, he has this huge comeback. He becomes the hero, killing Nagini. What do you guys? Anyone want to talk about that?
He rigs the bridge with explosives. He's got cuts and scrapes. He can walk through portraits.
Yeah. I didn't like, you guys are going to hate me for this, but I did not like Neville in this. Like, making that comeback, I don't know, it didn't, I was actually just annoyed by Matt Lewis. Sorry. Because it just sort of comes out of nowhere. It's like suddenly he's the hero. And I know in the book you understand it more, but I don't know. Maybe I just don't like Matt Lewis. Sorry.
I do. Somebody had to do it.
Somebody had to do it. Yeah, it was great. Everybody loved it. Everybody got all fired up. So there's no build-up, right? Yeah. The Dobby thing, it just comes out of nowhere. I'm just repeating what he's.
Well, something that made me unhappy about not Neville and Luna, but changing gears here a little bit. The death scene where Voldemort dies. And he just kind of evaporates and turns into confetti. I didn't like that.
Yeah, what about Bellatrix too? When she just kind of bursts into pieces.
Yeah.
Fatality.
But so, how did everybody like Julie Walters' delivery of the line? Give it up.
Give it up for Molly Weasley. Yeah.
So she, and in the books it's all caps, so I think you probably would have expected a giant scream.
But it was more of not my daughter. It was really slow and kind of deliberate.
Yeah. They did the same thing in the first book with Hagrid. What? Here, come on up to the mic.
When Harry first meets Hagrid, in the book, it's all caps when Uncle Vernon insults Albus.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, don't you, all caps, and then in the movie, he was just like, don't you insult him. It was the same thing with that.
So did you guys like that more stern change? The more serious, not my daughter, you bitch.
Yeah. Plus, they're a lot closer quarters, it seems, in the movie. They're right next to each other. And even though she's emotional, I thought they really built the performance around that. That line was, the way she delivered it was the way she felt she would deliver it, as opposed to just screaming her head off. There was more sort of a daring kind of, getting a rise out of Bellatrix by intimidating her. That's true. It
was very quick.
They were going between the scenes of Harry chasing Voldemort and, the rest of the battle.
I heard a report from another screening that people obviously knew the big line was about to come up, and somebody screamed in advance of the big line hitting because it was like, oh my God, it's about to happen. Ah! And then apparently that person who heard that was annoyed by that. In the trailer talk episodes, the part 2 trailer talk, we discussed how Voldemort quite frequently in the trailer goes, "Aah!" 12 times or something? But not in this movie at all.
Once.
Not once.
Nope.
They heard all the complaints and they're like, let's cut out this silly sound.
I'm glad they got them all out of their way with the previews. That line, I was so worried about it.
Well, you know what else they cut to? The whole "Why do you live," which they used in all the trailers.
Yes. And let's get into that whole discussion now. And actually David Yates, I think it was Yates, he brought it up at the U.S. press conferences. There's a line in the trailer, "Why do you live?" Because I have something to live for. And he said they decided to cut it out because Voldemort would kill Harry in that moment. He's holding him by the clutches. And so he decided to cut it out for that reason. But then that made me think, well, this scene still bothers me so much when Harry pulls Voldemort over the cliff. It's not in the book at all. Voldemort would just kill him. And they don't touch each other. That's what bothered me about it. Harry and Voldemort never physically touch each other.
But they can. They can touch each other now that they have the same blood. So why not use that to build more tension with, there's these two worthy adversaries that are just grabbing each other in midair and flying. It makes for good spectacle, but it also symbolizes the fact that they can't kill each other. Ever since they were given the same wand, they just can't kill each other.
And one of the reasons was the cinematic purpose, too. I mean, cinematically, you needed this big kind of epic fall through the castle, and their heads merged. That was another goofy thing. And then they end up in the courtyard, which, of course, is a change from the book where the big duel's in the Great Hall. And nobody was there either. So did that bother you guys? Hold on, we'll get... Yes! But we knew it was coming, in fairness, at least. So,
yeah.
And I guess we talked about that. Probably on the first trailer episode, we were like, wait, they're not in the Great Hall, and nobody's around them.
Yeah. I mean, Harry did still get that moment where he calls Voldemort Tom, which I thought was a big move for Harry. If he says it in front of everybody else, he's kind of just, I don't know, impersonating Dumbledore, where Dumbledore would be that cool all the time, to people. I don't know, I thought it, they found time to kind of make the emotional journey.
Yeah. Comment?
In the same battle, the thing that bothered me more than them flying off the cliff and doing the whole face squish thing, which was ridiculous, when Voldemort is choking Harry with his robes, and he's got him. He should kill him in that moment, and then they cut away to another scene. I think it's Ron and Hermione in the chamber. And then when they cut back, Harry has somehow miraculously come free from the robes. And it's like, why wouldn't the robes just keep squeezing him till he died? Because then there's no wand fighting, and then he's just dead.
At what point did Voldemort say, okay, I'll stop?
Exactly. It just didn't make any sense.
That's a funny point. Maybe Harry used magic. Yeah, but he seemed stuck at the time. What else? Hold on. They killed Lavender. And
did they?
Which is not what happens in the books, right?
Well,
it doesn't happen in the books. And you see Fenrir. If anybody has a comment, somebody has a comment coming up right now. Fenrir, you see him go like vampire style on Lavender, like bending over and like sucking blood out of her neck, or just eating her, I guess. Yeah, something like that. Comment?
I know why Voldemort dropped him.
Why?
Because they destroyed the Horcrux.
Oh. The snake.
Okay.
And that's
how
the cup?
he didn't...
My bad. But when they killed the snake in 3D, wasn't that really cool?
Oh, that was the one part where it kind of jumps out at you a little bit, right?
Yeah,
the 3D.
Can we talk about the Valdi fetus? Like the bloody Valdi fetus at the end? Like, that was disgusting.
So we're jumping ahead to King's Cross.
It was shocking because it's this beautiful white, clean King's Cross, in the words of Harry, and then there's just this cut to this disgusting fetus under the bench, and it was striking, and everybody in the theater went, "Oh!" But great they included it. It's in the book, so that was up there too. I think for me, favorite scenes, King's Cross. I mean, Dumbledore, Michael Gambon has gotten so good. I didn't like him in Prisoner of Azkaban, Goblet of Fire, Order of the Phoenix. Half-Blood Prince, I thought he was pretty good. But then Part 2, he was just a content Dumbledore, really proud of Harry. You just really felt his care for, Harry, my dear boy, or something like that. Comment?
I've got something to say about King's Cross. When Dumbledore changes the line from help will always be given at Hogwarts to those who ask, to those who deserve. I feel like that was, why would you change that? I mean, I didn't like it at all. I was just wondering what your opinion was.
I wonder if it was because Richard Harris said the first line and this was more his delivery on it, his take on it.
I don't know. Yeah. the comment was everybody who helped at Hogwarts deserved it. So that's why Dumbledore was kind of revising his statement. I just thought it was kind of a touching moment because, Dumbledore right before that, he says how powerful words can be. And then now he's kind of having this realization of, oh wow, I'm changing a statement I've said before. I'm revising something after this huge battle.
But is Dumbledore God or something? Because I don't get he died and now he's I'm anybody who deserves it, I'm gonna be there.
Well, it's all in Harry's head, so it may not have happened.
Right. Oh, that was awesome when they put that. Was that up? No, wait a second. That was Finding Hogwarts. they put that up at the end. Wrong movie. I'm sorry. Yesterday was a blur.
Another comment?
Yeah. Back to the final battle, I was kind of bothered by the fact that there wasn't really a corpse for Bellatrix or for Voldemort. They just both sort of exploded. I thought that was kind of weird.
Right, because you see all these dead bodies
Yeah.
everywhere, and then the bad guys dissolve.
Yeah.
It's where did they go? How do you know they're actually dead if there's no body?
In 3D, they went all over the theater.
Phil, speaking of 3D, I do not like seeing movies in 3D. I had to keep taking off my goggles and wiping the fog off of them and all that stuff. And it seriously started giving me a headache. I found myself watching part of the movie in the fuzzy 2D version because of that.
I had an awkward moment at the beginning of my screening where I put on my glasses and I turned to my friend Kevin and I'm like, the 3D is not working. Is it not working for you? And he's like, you're wearing your sunglasses. I'm like, oh. My sunglasses look just like the 3D glasses. What were we just talking about before? I had another comment about that.
How Bellatrix and Voldemort died.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say maybe when they disintegrated, maybe it just came up in a pile of dirt and Filch just swept it beyond the veil or something like that.
He did have the broom.
That was a funny moment, wasn't it, when Filch is trying to sweep up the castle? Okay, sorry, I'm just looking at the breakdown here. So, what is everybody's favorite film now? Somebody said part 1, but is the general applaud if it's part 2? That's actually not as many as I thought. Applaud if it was. Okay, let's just go through them. Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban, Goblet of Fire, Order of the Phoenix. Give David Yates a break.
Sorcerer's Stone, yeah!
How about Half-Blood Prince? Part 1. Part 2. Okay, now it's a lot louder. What? Yeah, we said Sorcerer's Stone at the beginning of that.
Oh, I missed that.
So, yesterday I talked on the Leaky Mug about Deathly Hallows on Rotten Tomatoes, seeing the overall tomato score, and now it's up to 98%, which is absolutely fantastic.
Wow. So, after so many ticket sales, which we have the actual sales figures, it actually increased in a percentage of reviews. That's after everybody saw it.
By the way, Winnie the Pooh, which also opened today, 90%, which is very impressive. I'm going to PoohCon over at Disney and going to that midnight screening.
That sounds terrible. I will not be at PoohCon.
Sorry, WinnieCon. One of those. That's pretty impressive, though. I don't know. Now I'm getting ideas for PoohCon. What could be at PoohCon? Oh, my goodness. Okay, so, everybody up here, what is your favorite film now of Eric?
My favorite film is probably, so hard.
It's like asking who's your favorite child kind of thing, you know?
Well, they're not my children, but, I think, Order of the Phoenix might be my favorite film.
Micah?
I think part 2.
Yeah. Benjamin?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of see Goblet of Fire. I'll just pick a random one.
Rooting for the underdog. That one got the least applause out in the crowd.
I feel like saying part 2 is very cliche because after every film, there's a table and somebody puts his hand down on the desk and he says, best film ever. And like we brought up on the Leaky Mug yesterday, then, a couple days later, everybody starts complaining about all the things wrong with the film after calling it the best one yet. But part 2, I really think, is the best one yet. Partially because it is the end. I mean, it was bound to be fantastic. I think it would have been very hard to screw up this battle scene, and now that I say that, I kind of regret that, because they really did do such an amazing job with it. Ralph Fiennes just stood out to me so much. I just loved his Voldemort in this one. It was crazy. It was silly. You couldn't help but laugh at some of the things he was doing. He was just out of his mind.
You're right, and it had closure, which none of the other films before it could really have.
Comment?
I just wanted to say, I can't really pick between part 1 and part 2 just because I feel like they're the same movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the same book, and just the way it picks up from the beginning, it's such a smooth transition that it's just the same movie for me. If I was gonna watch it, if I'm sitting at home when both of the DVDs come out, I'm probably gonna watch them both.
Yeah.
That's
One of the things I'm looking forward to is seeing part 1 and 2 back to back, I guess when the DVDs come out. Because that's 4.5 hours of Potter, and yeah, it's going to be great.
Does the audience think that together, movie 7 and movie 8 will make, if we could combine them, they make the best movie? Oh, we didn't talk about Aberforth.
Aberforth.
Didn't I say something to you like?
Yeah, I'll set it up. Ben, you want even me to say this? I wasn't going to, but Ben, you know when Aberforth cast the Patronus? This is so embarrassing for you, but okay. Ben turns to me and he says, "Who's the Dumbledore lookalike?" It's Aberforth.
Like I said, I was in a whirlwind. I didn't know what was going on. So,
but you know what? Kind of related to that, he's played by Kieran Hines, and if you see pictures of Kieran Hines, he does not look like Aberforth at all. I mean, they did such a great job with Aberforth's costume, and you were right. They did their job. He really does look like Dumbledore. And I think that moment where you see him cast the Patronus and the camera kind of sweeps in on him, you're supposed to have that feeling of like, oh, Dumbledore's here. Where was the goat?
His Patronus is a goat.
Because everybody would have been like, a goat? What?
I still want to know what he was doing to the goats. I think maybe we'll find that out on Pottermore.
Pottermore.
Yeah, Pottermore's child friendly. We're not going to be getting any big revelations like that. That's for PottermoreX.com. Pottermore unrated. Where else are we going with this? The wand. What about the wand? When he snaps it in half?
Oh, okay.
I liked him getting rid of the wand and breaking it in half because it's one of those classic film moments. Okay, one at a time. Oh, the Phoenix wand.
So he uses the Elder Wand to repair his previously unmendable. Well, he does, though. Character up front says he doesn't have a wand. He has Draco's. It's not Draco's wand anymore. Ollivander says in the beginning of the film that it changed allegiance to Harry's wand.
Was anyone bothered by the fact that he snapped it and just... See, I like that from, obviously not a book perspective, but it's sort of like, I'm getting rid of this item because it's dangerous, and I don't want it to exist in the world anymore. I just took it as that way, and I thought it was kind of a noble thing for him to do. But you guys, there is good news. You can go over to the Wizarding World and buy one. Still intact.
Okay, remind me, he just snapped it.
Yeah.
The Elder Wand.
Yeah.
But okay, this wand that's has all this
there?
lore.
Did you
I was there. I swear I was there. But how can you just snap the Elder Wand in half? Surely.
It was already fractured.
Wow, I need to stop talking. I'm shooting myself in the foot here.
Plus, I think also he had the allegiance of the Elder Wand, and I think only the person with the allegiance of the Elder Wand should be able to break it. Otherwise, it should put up a fight. Maybe.
And that was a cool shot where the camera kind of zooms into the wand and you can see it, the very small parts of it kind of disintegrating while Voldemort's holding it. That was cool.
What about Gringotts? What about the actual scene, the dragon, all that stuff?
That was neat. And as I brought up, now everybody can agree with me now because I'm right. Wizarding World, first expansion, they're going to be adding that Gringotts ride. I'm telling you.
That ride comes with a price, which is that they have to build Diagon Alley, and that's just going to be more shops and less rides.
Yeah. Didn't I do the laugh on the show?
What?
No, never mind. Of course there's going to be more shops. That's what...
Oh,
yeah.
You did do the laugh. You did.
The Mr. Universal? Yeah, okay. So this is what Mr. Universal would say to Eric if Eric went in and said, Mr. Universal, I don't want Diagon Alley because it's just going to be more shops and one ride. Because Mr. Universal likes his money. They put Ollivanders in Hogsmeade. Yeah, but can you imagine if Ollivanders wasn't in that park right now? Because Mr. Universal, again, really likes all that money over there. Has everybody done that wand experience? Like, I mean, been inside. It's really great because they usually pick a little kid. And, okay, some older people. He said, I got a beard and I got picked. Yeah. It's so good because the kid, or maybe you, or anyone else who got selected, is suddenly kind of coming to life. See you later, Eric. It sort of just, it comes to life. It's just like him being it's just like being in the movie. Is there wind too? Okay. It feels like you're Harry Potter, says. Yeah, it's like, yeah, because the light comes up and it's actually as if you're there. But yeah, so I really think they're going to take that Gringotts thing where you're riding down that cart. And that's going to be right. And then there's going to be through the escape, and the fire's going to come out at you, from the dragon, all of that. It's all going to be there. Coming in 2013. That's a guess, but they changed the cart. Oh, from the first movie. Well, they changed the Quidditch pitch too, but that was for the better. There was more detail there.
What did you think of the sort of Jurassic Park thing that they did with the... as the dragon was coming up through the bank.
What do you mean Jurassic Park?
Well, it's like everything started shaking.
Oh, yeah. And the goblins slowly started noticing. Yeah. Do you remember that scene?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we're going to have Ivana come. I don't think she's here yet. Eric probably went to go grab her or something. I don't know. Maybe not. But we can still take more questions. We can. Oh yeah, this is something we wanted to. We wanted to have Ben do a Hagrid impression on the show.
Oh, putting me on the spot.
What line? Somebody cue him with a line. Oh yeah, Rubius Hagrid, keeper of games and.
What is it again? Rubius Hagrid. See, I'm not as good as I used to be. You're a wizard, Harry. I just want to say something about Eric Skolk when he's not around to defend himself. I just want to say, he's so dedicated. He's been wearing those robes since, 2004. So, he hasn't changed out of those robes. He's been wearing them every day since then. But yeah, when he comes out, let's give him a round of applause for his robes, because he's the man.
Okay, so let's take some more questions now, and then we'll have Ivana come out in a little bit, and then we'll wrap it up. Lots of people coming forth now to complain about various things.
Yeah, it can't be all roses in here. Let's,
come on up, or go ahead.
What did you think of the fact that he killed all the Horcruxes with the basilisk fang?
Sorry, say that, I can't.
What did you think of the fact that he killed all the Horcruxes with the basilisk fang instead of the sword or instead of the fiend fire?
I mean, people recognize the fang. That's the one reason I could think of. But to be honest with you, it's just like comparing these things to the books and films. Comparing the films to the books is just like, I don't know. What are you gonna do? I'm tired of sticking up for them. I have no excuses anymore.
Yeah, I was just wondering what you guys thought about the in the final battle. It seemed like they replaced a lot of the chaos from the books. Like in the books, there was centaurs running around and spiders and giants, and in the movies, it was just kind of like a couple spiders and a couple giants, and they replaced a lot of that chaos with just students running around Hogwarts for an hour.
I guess you can connect to the students more, really.
Right. But it seemed like
but you did see the giants come in.
Right, yeah, like a few giants running down the hill and stuff.
Yeah. You didn't see, what was great in the book is you saw the cameos, like the Oliver Wood cameo. I think there was a Colin Creevey bit in there,
Cormac
too.
McLagan.
Yeah, neither of those were in there. That would have been nice to see.
And the other thing, too, is it was completely one-sided because it was everybody on the bad side. There were no house elves, there were no centaurs, there was no people from Hogsmeade coming in, so... I think it was more to show that that Voldemort's side was winning and doing such a good job against Harry and company.
Keith Hawk, why don't you come up for a little bit? This is MuggleNet's Keith Hawk. He does a lot of content posts on the sites. I'm sure you've seen him before. Also does a lot of great giveaways. And he saves us when we don't want to...
And he was also Dumbledore at a convention about 4 years ago, and he was... was he a great Dumbledore.
Take Eric's seat.
You didn't tell me there's going to be people here.
What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Ryan. I'm from Minnesota. I have a question about the goblin and the sword. How did he get in Voldemort's house randomly? Like, the goblin stole the sword, and then next thing you know, he's dead in Voldemort's house, and then he just disappears. How did Voldemort not notice the sword? Was he in Gringotts?
Yeah.
Oh, well, never mind then.
It's cool, buddy.
I have two things, but they're kind of about the same thing. So this is probably really petty, but we all got over the fact that Harry has blue eyes instead of green, but young Lily had brown eyes. And they made such a big deal about him having, oh, you have your mother's eyes. Well, kind of. I mean, it's like a petty thing, but like, I mean, she could have worn contacts or something.
No.
Like,
well, you're right, because because that's the line, right? Snape's line, you have your mother's eyes. And it's just, or look at me. And then, you know.
well, they're not really the same color, but...
It reminds me of Sorcerer's Stone, when that movie came out, and everybody was like, why isn't his eyes blue?
Which we got over, but then you're picking a small girl to be his mom, and it's like you could pick a blue-eyed actress.
Maybe it was a mistake. I mean, I guess that's kind of a mistake. It would have been too hard to fix her eyes.
I know.
Just digitally.
Sorry. The other thing is, this has kind of bothered me since the first film. Harry's parents look like they're about 35 when they died when they were about 21. And in the Mirror of Erised, I was kind of thinking, well, maybe this is what they would look like if they were alive today. But in their death scenes, they look like they're like in their mid-30s when they died like 3 years out of school. And I guess it's not that big a deal, but I wish we could have seen them, you know, they were really young. And I think that's part of why it's so tragic. And we see them as like fully grown people who've lived a lot longer than they actually did.
Mm-hmm. You know what I liked about that, though, was Lily and James, that shot of them kind of dancing around in front of that fountain, because that's what you see in Chamber of Secrets when he's paging through that book. Sorcerer's Stone. Which one was it? Chamber? Okay,
Chamber,
Which was kind of nice, because I think that's also kind of a nice little throwback to the previous films, because that's probably like the original footage that they shot for Chamber of Secrets, and then they brought it out again for this film.
Yeah.
But, you know, as you heard by that applause, people agree with you. Hi.
Hey, I just wanted to know what you thought about Helena Bonham Carter as Hermione.
What do you think, Keith?
She did a great job. I mean, that was how she was walking on her ankles and stuff, and stumbling all over the place. Yeah, she did good.
And the attitude, Hermione learning Bellatrix's attitude was really funny, too.
Hi. I'm Kate from Palo Alto, California. Yeah. And
didn't you said to me the other day you trick-or-treated at Steve Jobs' house?
Yeah, because he lives close. He lives a couple blocks away.
At Apple Talk.
Andrew's going to come visit.
I told her I'm going to go trick-or-treating with you next year.
Oh, anyways, what really bothered me from part one was that Peter Pettigrew didn't die, and I was hoping that he would die in this movie. But
that was a major disappointment.
Yeah,
because at the end of part one, you see Ron knock him out of the way. Dobby, yeah.
And he goes like, "Ow," and then falls.
Yeah, he falls over, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's no redemption. There's nothing.
Well, because then I was thinking, because in the Snape's The Prince's Tale or whatever, you see Peter Pettigrew, but I think it's
some dumb shot from a previous movie.
So
I agree. That was a disappointment.
I was really disappointed. But, but yeah, that's it.
I'll give you the classic director and producer line. You know, it was just for time. We just didn't have time to do it.
You didn't tell me there's going to be people here.
What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Ryan. I'm from Minnesota. I have a question about the goblin and the sword. How did he get in Voldemort's house randomly? Like, the goblin stole the sword, and then next thing you know, he's dead in Voldemort's house, and then he just disappears. How did Voldemort not notice the sword? Was he in Gringotts?
Yeah.
Oh, well, never mind then.
It's cool, buddy.
I have two things, but they're kind of about the same thing. So this is probably really petty, but we all got over the fact that Harry has blue eyes instead of green, but young Lily had brown eyes. And they made such a big deal about him having, oh, you have your mother's eyes. Well, kind of. I mean, it's like a petty thing, but like, I mean, she could have worn contacts or something.
No.
Like,
well, you're right, because because that's the line, right? Snape's line. You have your mother's eyes. And it's just, or look at me. And then,
they're
but
not really the same color, but
it reminds me of Sorcerer's Stone when that movie came out and everybody was like, why isn't his eyes blue?
which we got over, but then you're picking a small girl to be his mom, and it's like you could pick a blue-eyed actress.
Maybe it was a mistake. I mean, I guess that's kind of a mistake. It wouldn't have been too hard to fix her eyes.
I know.
Just
And then
digitally.
sorry. The other thing is, this has kind of bothered me since the first film. Harry's parents look like they're about 35 when they died when they were about 21. And in the Mirror of Erised, I was kind of thinking, well, maybe this is what they would look like if they were alive today. But in their death scenes, they look like they're like in their mid-30s when they died like 3 years out of school. And I guess it's not that big a deal, but I wish we could have seen them, they were really young. And I think that's part of why it's so tragic. And we see them as like fully grown people who've lived a lot longer than they actually did.
Mm-hmm. You know what I liked about that, though, was Lily and James, that shot of them kind of dancing around in front of that fountain, because that's what you see in Chamber of Secrets when he's paging through that book. Sorcerer's Stone. Which one was it? Chamber? Okay,
Chamber is in the
yeah.
beginning.
Which was kind of nice, because I think that's also kind of a nice little throwback to the previous films, because that's probably like the original footage that they shot for Chamber of Secrets, and then they brought it out again for this film.
Yeah.
But, as you heard by that applause, people agree with you. Hi.
Hi. I just wanted to know what you thought about Helena Bonham Carter as Hermione.
What do you think, Keith?
She did a great job. I mean, that was how she was walking on her ankles and stuff, and stumbling all over the place. Yeah, she did good.
And the attitude. Hermione learning Bellatrix's attitude was really funny, too.
Hi. I'm Kate from Palo Alto, California. Yeah. And
Didn't you said to me the other day, you trick-or-treated at Steve Jobs' house?
Yeah, because he lives close.
That's
He
funny.
lives a couple blocks away.
At Apple Talk.
Andrew's going to come visit.
I told her,
Yeah,
I'm going to
he
go
told
trick-or-treating
me.
with you next year.
Oh, anyways, what really bothered me from part one was that Peter Pettigrew didn't die, and I was hoping that he would die in this movie, but
That was a major disappointment.
yeah, what do you
Because at the
think?
end of part one, you see Ron knock him out of the way. Dobby. Yeah.
And he goes like, ow, and then falls.
Yeah, he falls over and that's it.
Yeah.
There's no redemption. There's nothing.
Well, because then I was thinking, because in the Snape's The Prince's Tale or whatever, you see Peter Pettigrew, but I think it's
Some dumb shot from a previous movie.
So
Yeah.
I
No,
guess
I agree. That was a
I
disappointment.
was really disappointed. But,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
I'll give you the classic director and producer line. It was just for time. We just didn't have time to do it. I'm sorry, we couldn't do anything else.
Hi guys, Emily from Melbourne, Australia. I just had a question for, you, Andrew, and Eric, even though he's not here. What was the biggest difference for you having seen the screening back in Chicago, apart from like score and special effects, like any scenes? Or
They didn't really change much. Yeah.
basically the same?
Yeah, I honestly, it was the same length. I don't know if they cut or added much. I don't know, that's a boring answer, but that's the truth. And when we saw the test screening, the movie relies so much on those special effects that, I felt like I hadn't even seen it, back in April. So it was interesting to see them all complete. And they did, the special effects did look great, but occasionally in 3D, I noticed a couple things that looked kind of cheesy. And one of the things I thought actually did not look good was and they called this the most technically complicated scene in the movie, in the Lestrange vault. All the gold. Did that look weird to anyone when it started filling up more and more? It wasn't hot. And they even say, it starts multiplying when you touch it, but things were multiplying that weren't even being touched. Yeah, and I get it for film, it's more action packed, but they throw that line in there. Whatever you touch multiplies.
I think they meant by that once they multiplied, they started
just
touching
keep
each
doing
other. And then the multiplied pieces multiplied themselves, and it just kept going. It
Perhaps.
actually reminded me of Sonic the Hedgehog, the game, where you're rolling along, and then you hit something sharp, and all your coins just jump out everywhere. But
All right, well, thank you.
And what's amazing about that is they made 7,000 of those little trophies.
Yeah, handmade.
Handmade.
Yeah.
7,000.
Hey.
Back to the confetti. So I was sorry. I was wondering why like none of the good guy deaths were on screen, and all of the deaths that we saw on screen were bad guys, and it was them turning to confetti. Do you think it was like a ratings thing? Or I don't know, because also it seemed to just make it all more comical, like Voldemort being ridiculous.
Again, like in the book, you don't see Tonks and Lupin die.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing. I know what you're saying, though. Why would you? I think.
But none of the good guy deaths were on screen.
Right.
Like even Lavender, by the time you get to her, she's already dead.
Yeah. It is. I don't know.
Nobody wants to see the good guys die. I mean.
Yeah. Imagine the sobbing at that point. Oh man. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Sorry. Another boring answer. But that's like. I don't know. What do you think, Micah?
It could be a ratings thing, though, because if you look at how Bellatrix and Voldemort died, it wasn't as if their dead bodies were right there. I mean, the scariest thing probably in the whole film was that fetus in King's Cross Station.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
First, Ivana Lynch tweeted, "Lost in the hotel and can't get to MuggleCast." Someone in the hotel, please tell them and send a port key. So if we could send a port key to Ivana Lynch.
Well, thank you for that Twitter.
How long
update.
ago did she tweet that?
4 minutes.
Apparently Eric is lost too right now, so maybe they'll bump into each other.
And Teddy Lupin, in the scene in the forest, Harry says to Remus, "Remus, your son." And I'm like, wait, we never mentioned the son earlier in this film. How did Harry know he had a son?
Well, because in part 1, there's that half blink and you miss it moment where Tonks is about to tell Harry,
But she doesn't even say it.
Right, she's about to, and then she gets cut off.
So how does Harry know?
Because he was told later off screen.
Why couldn't it be on screen?
Yeah, I know. I agree. And if you follow these movies very closely, there's a great editorial on MuggleNet called Half-Baked Harry, and it just points out all the differences between the books and films and why things don't add up at all. And, I would fear the director and producers reading that because they would probably just feel awful about themselves, and Steve Kloves too. But he got filled in later. That's the answer. Hi.
Hi. I was wondering if you guys noticed when Voldemort was killing, or about to kill Snape, the Gryffindor scarf behind Snape. And I was wondering if you noticed how that kind of represented that, A, they sort too early, and B, his courage in the moment. And I was wondering what you thought of it.
And where was it?
In the boathouse. It was behind
And you
Snape.
saw it
There
in
was
the
just a
background?
Gryffindor scarf.
Okay, I didn't see that. I saw like a sweater hanging on a doorknob. Do you guys remember seeing that?
I didn't catch it.
That's really cool, though.
Okay,
That is
well,
really cool.
I just thought you might want to know.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I think she's lying. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Hi.
Hi. I was just wondering what you guys thought about how they left out the whole Dumbledore affiliation with Grindelwald.
The Dumbledore what?
The Dumbledore affiliation with Grindelwald.
It's never really fleshed out, right?
Yeah, because I was kind of annoyed because they didn't do the whole, is Dumbledore as white as his beard? Like, Harry never really had a reason to mistrust Dumbledore. And Ariana, yeah. Like,
Any comments about that, guys?
Well, they never really made him think that Albus was bad to begin with. I mean, Harry had some questions about Albus, but he didn't ever feel like couldn't trust him. I think they showed it in the movie, like they always trusted it, that Harry always trusted Dumbledore, so they didn't have to bring up that thing that they do in the book.
yeah.
Doesn't Aberforth talk about his brother's quest for power at one point in the Hogshead?
Yeah, and
I
then they
think
never really, explain
that's
it.
the only real reference to it. And also in part 1, Voldemort doesn't kill Grindelwald, does he? And he does in the book.
Yeah, he doesn't.
But I think they said, and maybe it'll come more in this scene, one of the scenes they cut down a lot was Aberforth's talk with Harry, which would have been nice to see. I mean, I don't know if it would have hurt the film adding that whole thing in. A couple extra minutes maybe of story. Thank you. Hello.
Hi.
I cut you off earlier, right?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. This is about Snape holding Lily. Wasn't the house supposed to be destroyed when Voldemort did the Avada Kedavra thing?
So, and the lights were still on, so I was just,
Emotion.
Yeah. Okay.
Emotion. It was such a striking scene, right? That was another sob moment. That was, one of that was an awful sob moment. Yeah. I just wanted to leave. I was so depressed. Everybody was so sad in the theater.
It was only that one part of the house that was destroyed.
Yeah.
Just where the curse rebounded. That was it.
Hi.
What's up, Crumb?
Not much. My question is strictly on a movieism, because throughout the movies, Ron isn't made.
Ivana! You have a seat there.
Eric found her.
Here,
Sorry, I'm late.
Keith,
I got lost. I got so
It's
lost.
okay. We saw your tweet. It's all right.
Oh, yeah. So gonna sit
What happened? Were you
right
lost
with
in
my
the
chest.
back area there?
Well, you see, they take us through this really secret area in the hotel, where you see all the kitchens and everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know my way around. I just, okay, bring me wherever. And, they didn't come and collect us, so,
Oh.
I tried to come here and freaked out. And
Well,
I'm here, it's okay.
thank you for coming. Question for you. We've been talking about the movies a lot. First of all, you have the first line in the movie, as you
I
mentioned
do,
the other night.
yeah.
Congratulations. You are such a big fan of the books. You are a true fan. That's why everybody loves you. What did you think of the scene where Harry pulls Voldemort over the cliff?
Yeah, I that was very unexpected. I didn't know that was going to be in it either. I think it's kind of cool. It's for film value, isn't it? I just think it's really raw, and I like it when they just disregard their wands and they're just sort of clawing at each other. I don't know. Melissa raised this point, why did Harry do that? Did he expect that Voldemort was just going to fly him to safety? But
right.
I still think it's cool. It's effective. Why? What about you?
Well, my thing has always been that Harry and Voldemort just don't touch each other. Oh. I didn't like it. And there's this funny clip on YouTube. Somebody re-edited it, and I put it on my Facebook. Harry and Voldemort. Harry starts to pull him over, and then it goes really slow, and the Titanic theme comes up, and it's just, they start falling, and it's near, far, wherever you are. It's really funny. Sorry, I'm very confused right now. Trust me, it's better on YouTube. So, did you ask your question?
No.
Go for it.
My question was strictly about movie Ron, because movie Ron's never made out to be, frankly, that intelligent. And so when Harry's about to go into the forest, he tells Hermione, it's something that I've expected, and he's alluding to the fact that he's a Horcrux. And Hermione sort of understands, but Ron's just sort of standing there. And so I was just wondering, what were your thoughts on maybe what was Ron thinking?
He was, if I could, I think he was thinking, I just made out with Hermione.
I'll let you have this one. It's okay, Harry. I think it's that they have a different relationship. It's Harry and Hermione are just close in a different way, and I thought it was odd as well. But I suppose it was Ron saying I won't do the jealous thing anymore. Let's just stand back. But I don't know.
All right, thank you. Hello.
Hi, I'm Gina from Chicago. I just had a general question. Now that we've seen all the movies, do you have a favorite scene from all of them?
Well, I guess we can go down the line. Ivana, there was an awesome moment at the UK press conference where everybody went down and each gave their favorite line. That was so good. Or use your mic.
Some did it in their voice. I don't think I did, but
yeah, some did it in there. What was your line? Favorite line?
You're just as sane as I am.
Favorite scene, Eric? Favorite scene overall? All 8.
All 8 films. You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah, that's kind of a classic. Yeah.
That's where I started with my journey on the Harry Potter. So I think that's probably fitting.
Ivana?
I don't know. There's so many I love, but I think one that stood out in the last film was the Tale of the Three Brothers. That sequence. It's animation or whatever you call it. I don't know what that is done in, but it's just so nice, and it was so sort of out of the blue and refreshing, and no one on the cast knew, and I thought that was cool. And I really enjoyed the time turner sequence in number 3 because it's very hard to get your head around that in the book, and I think seeing it played out on film, it just makes it a bit clearer. Yeah.
I think Steve Kloves, while doing press for this most recent movie, said that was one of his most difficult scenes to write. He's a screenwriter because, you know, you're going back in time and balancing time, so the characters run in to see their themselves. So, yeah, that must have been so intricate and hard to work out. Keith?
Every scene with Ivana. I think my favorite out of all of them is still the battle in the Department of Mysteries. I really like that whole sequence, the prophecies falling, the death chamber sequence. I mean, it's not like the book, but it was good enough. And then the battle afterwards with Voldemort and Dumbledore. I like that whole section. It's probably my favorite part in the books, too.
Micah?
I think the scene in Half-Blood Prince where Harry is in Hagrid's hut with Slughorn and he's trying to get the memory away from him, and I guess Hagrid and Slughorn are both a little bit tipsy. But there's that. I think there was this piece that got added about Lily and the fish that Slughorn had, and I don't think that was in the book at all, and that was a cool scene.
Benjamin?
For me, the graveyard's where it's at. Because with the book, you know, it was just like, to me, that was the whole turning point of the entire series, and that was the most well-done part, and I think that they did a great job visually with that. And then, of course, you know, the whole, like, screaming Cedric's father, and did somebody just bark at me? But yeah, the graveyard scene was a good one.
One of my favorite scenes, I don't have a specific favorite scene, but I think, you know, now that all of them are done, I appreciate Sorcerer's Stone so much now. And especially the end, Harry and Quirrell/Voldemort's fight was so good, because you just see little Harry going up against this guy who he's going to be dealing with for 7 years now, and it's kind of just like, you know, wow, how far he's come. So watching that again, and I think that's one of my favorite scenes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. I have two little things. Before you were talking about how good Voldemort was in this movie, and I totally agree. And I think my favorite part was when he discovers that a Horcrux has been destroyed, and then he's just so mad that he just breaks out and kills somebody randomly. I thought that was so fitting. And I mean, it's terrible that, you know, somebody just randomly died, but I thought it worked so well. And I don't know if I'm the only person that thinks that, but I thought it worked really well.
Clap. What was your question?
But then, for Voldemort and Harry's duel at the end, I feel like since they cut out this speech, you lost a lot of the theme of love conquering, because you didn't get that explanation of how Lily sacrificed herself for Harry and how his sacrifice was protecting everyone else. And did you feel that a little bit of the love was lost?
I mean, if you look at Snape's pain, though,
yeah, I mean, you got it there.
You see him holding Lily because he's clearly lost somebody that he loves so much. I mean, that for me just got the message across.
Yeah.
How about anyone else? Any other comments? I summed up everybody.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hello. This may be minor, but I was just wondering, trying to figure out what year Cho Chang was in.
Sorry, can you get closer to the mic? What Cho Chang what?
What year Cho Chang was in? Because when the members of Dumbledore's army returned, there were some old faces, someone mentioned Angelina was there, and I thought they'd already graduated, but I saw Cho in uniform in the scene where...
Yeah, in the book she's a year older than Harry, but in the movie they made her the same year. Okay. It's just Padma and Parvati are in the same house in the movies, but in the books they're Ravenclaw and Gryffindor.
Okay.
It's just for movies.
Yep. Thanks.
Hello.
Hey, guys. I'm just wondering if anybody noticed this, but I think Fenrir Greyback was the first one on the bridge, and when Neville blew it up, he plummeted to his death, but then a few minutes later he got to attack Lavender.
It was a snatcher, says the audience.
Which one?
The one that smells Hermione, says Bellatrix, who's very, very creepily sitting in the front. I thought you were disintegrated. How are you back?
So which one? I'm sorry, I don't understand. Was on the bridge?
Yeah, that.
Scavier was on the bridge.
Yeah, then he fell.
Then he fell.
Okay. Can I ask, where was because was that what they were meant to blow up? Remember the bit where Professor McGonagall and Seamus Finnegan are walking through and they're like, boom, boom, you know?
Yeah.
Where was the boom? Was that supposed to be the bridge? Was it? Okay.
I think so.
Thank you.
I guess that makes sense then, yeah.
Hello. Hi. There was another thing that really annoyed me both in part 1 and part 2 was that since at the end of Half-Blood Prince, they said, oh, a Horcrux could be anything, which was exactly the opposite from what they said in the book. It seemed like Harry would go to a place and then walk in and be like, my Horcrux senses are tingling. And then there was like this mysterious ringing noise.
Well, but I think that's to help moviegoers understand that he's getting close to a Horcrux and help to understand what's going on in Harry's head. You know, they have to do some noise. I mean, how else? What else is it going to do? Like a glow, or like a light's going to shine on it? Like, oh!
But like he walks into the vault and it's like he's like magnetically attracted to it, to the cup or something. He's looking around and he's like, I see it. My Horcrux senses are honing in on that cup, and it was just so annoying to me.
It's true that was part of, it seemed to be part of his plan, was to just wait for him to hear or detect the Horcrux, for instance, when he enters the vault. But I think also that helped communicate, what we find out at the climax, or one of the climaxes, that Harry is a Horcrux, or that he actually has part of the soul, that he's going around destroying these parts of souls. So that connection is solidified a little bit more by that development.
Thank you, and I'm sorry you were disappointed. Whoever's at the end of the line right now, that'll be, okay, you're the last person, so push anyone away who comes up. No, you don't have to go back, or somebody's going back. Oh, okay, she was taking pictures. Hi, Team Lupin.
Hello. So this is kind of like a theory or a statement. Obviously, Harry is a Horcrux, and Basilisk's fangs destroy Horcruxes. And in the second book, Harry gets stabbed by a Basilisk's fang, so shouldn't the Horcrux have been destroyed then?
Ooh.
Do you think that Fawkes came in too soon? Maybe?
I've had this theory for a while, so yeah, that's what I came up with.
So Fawkes shouldn't have saved them? Would he have gone to King's Cross right then and there?
Well, it's difficult because Voldemort had to be the one to kill him. But then, I guess the diary, sick the basilisk on, the diary riddle, sick the it's very complicated.
Where is the Horcrux inside Harry? Like, where is it? Is it,
Is
like
it
in
his
his head?
It's in his scar, and he got stabbed in the arm. The venom didn't travel up.
Yeah.
That's true.
Is the Horcrux that little baby? Because then it's in his womb, isn't it?
I mean, but wait a second. If he had gotten killed, if he had died from it, wouldn't the Horcrux have been destroyed then, probably? Yeah, because he had to die, or sort of die, in order to get rid of it, so...
Good point, though.
Yeah, very interesting.
Hello.
Hello. This is another Slytherin thing. I was like, how in the books where they actually gave them a choice, in the movies they kind of just like dismissed them, like they couldn't stay if they wanted to, even. And like how when like all the centaurs were coming back at the final battle, the Slytherins came back with reinforcements with Slughorn, and I thought like in the movie, since it was like you could miss it so easily in the book, like it didn't like really describe it. It wasn't until like Joe confirmed it that you would actually know that it was the Slytherins with them. Like I thought in the movies that they would make it more clear that there was Slytherins there too, because it kind of seems like they just kept going for that all Slytherins are bad in this movie still.
I don't know.
It's true. So much is happening in that battle scene, and I think they did in the movie kind of go the way of separating Slytherins by sort of having them be the less morally upstanding, or in terms of. But as a listener mentioned earlier as well, some of the Slytherins had parents who were Death Eaters and that sort of thing. So I think there is a good case to be made that the Slytherins, although they did not overtly participate in the films in the final battle, that it's something that they would it's still in the books, but also that, there may be other reasons, that it's not necessarily all bad.
Somebody told me that they saw Pansy Parkinson in the Great Hall. Like, maybe when they were licking their wounds in between the battles. Is Scarlet here? Was she in one of those
Scarlet,
scenes?
She said that. She said that the Slytherins are out. So they don't really explain how they broke out, but she said that there's a scene that's been cut from the film where Filch goes down to the dungeons and the Slytherins are there, and it sort of blows up and they all get out and scatter. So,
Yeah, they saw Pansy in the film.
Yeah, so it's not explained, but they do get out. They don't waste away in the dungeons.
I was also wondering. Oh, sorry.
Well, can you tilt the mic up first so we can hear you a little bit better, and then we'll go ahead. Yeah, there you go. Okay, go ahead.
In Harry's, the scene where he, after he just came out of the pensive and he realizes what he has to do, I thought in, the books, it was, more anxious than it was in the movies because he, is just passing everything and, feeling nostalgic and, doesn't stop and say anything, and it's he's finally being, it's the one moment where he's being really noble and not having to include everyone. Where in the movies, it seems like they have that more hero aspect of it because Ron and Hermione stop him, and there's that really big scene where Hermione's crying and knows that he has to do that, and he says that he's a Horcrux and stuff.
I love that scene where Harry and Hermione have the realization that he does need to go kill himself. That Voldemort needs to go. That Voldemort has to kill him. What? Yeah, so.
I liked it too, but I just thought in the books, he was I don't really know how to explain it, but it was just it showed how he was, how much mature he was too, because he just knew that he had to do this alone and he was going to walk to his death without including anyone. And I thought it was maybe a little bit more emotional in a different way because he sees Ginny and he wonders if she can sense him because she looks over, but he doesn't want to bother her and make her upset by her knowing that he's going to die.
I feel like one of the decisions they say that they've made very early on in Prisoner of Azkaban, the film, was to tell the story from Harry's journey, which omitted certain storylines such as the Marauders from those films. And so when you're watching DH Part 2 and you see more of a visual Harry, that moment when he leaves the pensive and just sits down and breathes, among the realization that he has to go kill himself is sort of the way it translated onto film, that he was thinking about Ginny, that he was thinking about the other characters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Xavier.
Hey, guys. Ooh. Okay, so I wanted to compliment and get your opinions on the protection that was put around the school. Because I think the books, it's very hard, and it leaves it up to interpretation of how it would visually appear outside. And in Part 1, they kind of showed where Scabier and Hermione are very close together, but it's invisible. There's no visual line there. But in Part 2, all of the teachers, you could see the wand tips and the trail of the spells go up from different areas and build that dome around the school, and I thought that was amazing. I thought filmmakers did a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. And cinematically, it just looked great because it was this montage of the teachers just holding their wand, and teachers and Molly, and I think that was it. Yeah, I mean, it looks great.
Yeah, I thought it was really beautiful. And it kind of reminded me of the way the Patronus is. It's people who've good in their hearts, so they can make this really strong protection over the school. And it has that silvery sheen to it that the Patronus has, which is just really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other note I had was a friend of mine had mentioned regarding a part in Part 1 where the wand, where Harry was passed out and his wand acted of its own accord. Someone, and I may need a book reminder, but someone had mentioned, a friend of mine, that because Horcruxes have naturally defensive qualities to themselves, that maybe the wand wasn't really Harry, it was the Horcrux protecting itself from when Voldemort was attempting to kill Harry. And I wanted your opinion on that. Because technically Harry as a Horcrux, they would
You're
naturally
talking
want to
about at the
defend
very
itself.
end, the final duel.
No, Part 1.
In Part 1,
where
when
Harry's
on a
passed out on the
motorbike
cart.
and the wands meet without Harry actually
Harry's
knowing.
passed out and his wand acts on its own and he throws it up and
Harry passes out.
It's just the Horcrux. They can't kill each other. They are protected from each other. So
because it wasn't really defined in the
is
books.
acting against Voldemort.
In the books, it was very specific that Harry had to know and willingly sacrifice himself in order for the Horcruxes to be, in order for Voldemort to be able to kill him without that sort of thing happening.
Yeah. The wand acting on its own accord, that's kind of what I was touched on. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Xavier. Just celebrated his 21st birthday. It's very
Happy
exciting
birthday,
time.
Xavier.
It's a good time to be at LeakyCon for Xavier. Hello.
Hi, first of all, I just wanted to say that you're just as sane as I am, Ivana. But also my question was for you, and I was just wondering if you ever thought that Luna might have feelings for Harry since he was the first person to really befriend her and all.
Wait, Luna might what? Sorry?
If Luna might have feelings for Harry.
Does Luna have feelings for Harry?
I don't think so. No, I think she really understands him. I think when she sees him, and she can't help but watch him in a way that she knows what he's going through. She's very perceptive and intuitive. She always picks up on people's feelings, and Harry especially. He's just someone who never ever stops thinking, and he's always got all these emotions raging through him. And Luna is the complete opposite. She, like, when I say not think, I don't mean she's not smart. Of course she's smart, but she just doesn't analyze things. She lets things happen, and Harry is the opposite. And often when you recognize when someone is the opposite of you, you understand them more than yourself. So I think she's fascinated by Harry, and she's aware of the massive task, massive burden he has. But no, I don't think feelings are a part of it. No.
All right.
What about you? What do you think?
I always thought that they might be together just because they connected on so many levels and all.
Because of what?
Since they connected on so many levels with losing their parents and all that. Or at least Luna's mom, not her dad, but...
Yeah.
Speaking of Luna and love, what do you think of at the end of the movie where Luna and Neville...
I thought it, yeah.
You like it?
I love that ship. I think it's really cute. I think they have a connection over, because they're both sort of outsiders, but they're oddly comfortable with that, and they aren't influenced by other people, despite what everyone says about them. So yeah, I think it's really cute in the battle scene as well, because it's just all in the heat of the moment, isn't it? It's like we're gonna die, we have to do something, and Neville's like, yeah, okay, I'm mad for her, I'll go for it. And then afterwards it's like, ooh, I shouldn't have said that. It's really awkward. So yeah, I don't think Neville and Luna would like go the distance. I think she's a bit too just eccentric for him, and she has all these crazy ideas, and Neville just seems to, he wants to just be there with his plants, have a nice simple life, and
Matt Lewis described it as a summer fling during the press conferences, so I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, man.
Hey, Lou.
What's your question?
Yeah, we've mentioned eyes being their own color. One that's always got to me is, why is the Dark Lord's eyes this bright, sparkly blue?
What should they be, black?
Or like red.
Red, right.
What does everybody think about it?
I think on our 200th episode, landmark episode, we did get to interview David Heyman, and he talked about this Goblet of Fire, the production of actually creating Voldemort. What everybody's in their minds, the books, how they describe him as having slit eyes, or slit nose, but red eyes. And I believe David Heyman said that it was, really about making him look more human, because he was once a human, and that it would be almost comical if he had sort of the red eyes, the slits, and he does have no nose, which in itself is a remarkable thing to do with makeup and things like that. But I think the eyes, because the eyes are the portals to the soul, and it's very much about believing in him as a villain. That's why they made that sort of. I don't know why he has blue eyes though, but maybe because Ray Fiennes might have.
I think they're dreamy, personally.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Alison from Australia. I was just wondering what you guys thought about the stuff that they included with, like, the Malfoys, like, including, like, what Harry said in, the Room of Requirement, and, like, what was probably the most awkward hug filmed, like, one of the most few awkward hugs filmed ever on screen.
Hug? Really?
What's that?
Said if you can call it that.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just, I think the intention was there, but it was just kind of, like, really awkward. what you guys thought about that.
Well, the one thing interesting about the Malfoys was apparently they shot multiple endings for the Malfoys, and they decided at a later time which way to actually end it. And Jason Isaacs said, I think, that one of the ways they shot it was Lucius actually gets trampled by fellow Death Eaters, which would be pretty interesting to see and heard. And your question was how?
Like, what did you guys think of, like, you know, maybe like the hug, or like what like Harry said in like the room requirement, like kind of drew the audience's attention to, you know, the fact that Draco kind of knew it was Harry in like the scene at Malfoy Manor.
I think it shows just the difference between Harry and Draco. Well, there's so many, but like that Draco, he has a chance at, you know, redemption, I suppose, and he's standing there on the steps, and there's this really tense moment where everyone's like, is he going to stay? And he doesn't, you know, and that I don't know, the hug, it just shows you it's all he's going over to that side, he's cowardly. And I think the Malfoys, my mum actually was saying they're quite like the Dursleys, they're only for themselves, aren't they? You see them walking away at the end, they just want to be where the power is, and they don't want to get hurt, they don't want to sacrifice anything. I don't know, what about you? Yeah. I think?
Yeah, I really like, we talked earlier about, you know, Ginny and the plot in the films not necessarily being as successful. I think they definitely, the Malfoy subplot, you know, we always see where Lucius is, even in the books where he may be off scene or in Azkaban, we see what's happening in the opening scenes of Deathly Hallows Part 1, where, you know, Voldemort confronts Lucius and takes his wand and breaks his wand, is just exceptional, character moments, and the whole Malfoy family is treated to so many of those in the films, and especially in Part 2. What did you guys think?
I gave my thoughts. Micah?
Well, I think with Draco too, you know, it was, you know, to show that redemptive quality. If you look at Half-Blood Prince, you know that he's not going to kill Dumbledore, and I think it shows the same thing in Malfoy Manor. He's not going to give up Harry because he's so afraid. And I think, you know, towards the end, you know, even with Lucius, it seems like he's lost connection with his son completely. It's his mother who he ends up answering to at the final battle and walking away with.
I'd really like to know what happened with Lucius. I'd like to know if Lucius is divorced, paying huge amounts of alimony, or if he's actually still in Malfoy Manor and distant from Draco. I mean, I'd like to know what the resolution of that is.
I think they got their son back, and that they're going to try and rebuild.
What do you think, Ivana?
You know, I was wondering about like the relationship between Lucius and Narcissa, because you get the feeling that she just loses all respect for him throughout that film, and his fall from grace, and, you know, Voldemort taking his wand, and she only cares about Draco, and you see that when she sort of betrays Voldemort, and she says, yeah, he's dead, and I'd say Lucius Malfoy never really recovers from that. It's just, he's lost all his prestige, hasn't he? He's shown that he really
You can
is
see that when they
coward.
walk across the bridge, and it's Draco holding hands with his mother, and Lucius is like looking over his shoulder, kind of lost.
The fan sites asked Jason Isaacs what he thinks Lucius deserves, and he said nothing. He deserves nothing. He's dug himself way too deep a hole and deserves to have a miserable life.
Well, he has nothing. He has no wand.
Well, right.
Yeah. That's the wizard's lifeline right there, is the wand. No wand, you're not even a wizard.
Yeah, he's really, like, I love that scene as well with Voldemort when he says to Lucius, how do you live with yourself? You never really see, like, Voldemort considering someone, but even Voldemort is disgusted by the person that he is, and there's just nothing redeeming about him. And like Snape, say he's nasty, but he's done this amazing sacrifice for Lily, for love and everything. And what has Lucius done? Nothing really. Yeah, it's a crap person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, man. Yeah, go ahead. Take it off.
I'm kind of freestyling.
That's fine, yeah. Do what you want. That's cool.
Hi, Ivana. Did I pronounce it right? Yeah. Okay, just checking. I really enjoy your portrayal of Luna in the movies. Just want to say that. I think you really capture the character, kind of how she has an honesty to her, sincerity, but also kind of like, I guess, a whimsy to her. Huh? A whimsical nature.
Luna is a whimsical character, like Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like spacey would be kind of derogatory, like offensive. So I chose whimsical. But anyways, I think one of my favorite lines is something along the lines of, you're riding one of the carriages with Harry to Hogwarts, and you're saying, I hope they have pudding. Would you mind reciting that line? Or something along those lines. Not to put you on the spot, you know. Wait, breathe. It's okay.
The lead up is that they're really embarrassed by Neville's Mimulus Mimbletonia, I think. Isn't that? And then she.
These guys know.
Oh, in the books.
Carriage. It's really awkward. Zane's just done something. Hungry. I hope there's pudding.
Thank you very much. It made my day.
I'd say she's got a real sweet tooth as well, because I'm kind of like that as well. I'd prefer to eat the meals backwards, because I just want to get to the good bit. You know?
Yeah.
She's someone who doesn't try and... She just goes at what she feels, so it's probably just pudding the whole time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're a bit whimsical yourself, I have to say.
That's what they say.
You kind of look like one of Harry and the Potters. I thought you were one of them.
Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. We'll see. All right.
Tell your brother Paul we said hi.
Just take that.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Last question.
Hi, guys. First of all, I want to say that y'all are all absolutely fantastic.
Thanks.
But I have a question about Melissa's prediction. I don't know if you've spoken about this yet, but do you really think Alan Rickman could get some real recognition for that role?
No.
That he played?
Yes. I don't think
real
he
nomination?
will.
Is that what's
real recognition? I mean, she said that he'd get an Oscar.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I mean,
think there's
Oscar
a low
nomination. Yeah,
probability,
nomination.
but He was awesome.
You have to look at the competition, too.
Right.
So that's what's going to come down to.
But it's different with Harry Potter because it's a whole series, you know? And the people, we're judging it as a fandom, knowing all the intricacies, all the emotions that he's portraying that are in the books. And whereas people, I suppose, I don't know, but people who nominate for these awards, they just look at the film. The one film as a whole, isn't it? And
yeah, it's just one film, but he played everything so well.
Yeah, it was all building up the whole time, and he had all these conversations with J.K. Rowling, so he knew it was all in all those performances throughout the film. So, I mean, he really deserves it. But
I agree. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think the Academy is filled with Harry Potter fans, which would be great.
Do you know how cool that would
tragedy,
be? Oh my gosh.
Really
You know, how many awards did Lord of the Rings actually win before the third movie? I don't think they won many at all. No, but then they won 13 in the 1 year.
It was all of them. All the awards.
All in the third one, right?
Big ones, yeah.
So, I mean, it can be the same type of thing where we get a bunch of nominations. I think David Yates deserves a nomination. I think Alan Rickman deserves a nomination.
Stuart Craig, the set designer.
Stuart Craig, for sure.
Yes.
Alexander Desplat.
Eduardo Serra, who did the cinematography.
I think one thing that's going for Alan Rickman is that he's so well respected in the British film world. I mean, he's a legendary actor. He's had quite a few amazing roles outside of Harry Potter too. So maybe the people, the what is it called, the Academy, will look at, will look, wow, Alan Rickman's, he's got quite a great career, and he did a good job with part 2. We'll see.
I'd also like to say the producers, David Heyman and David Barron, you don't realize how much work they do. They basically don't leave the studios during filming and pre-production and post-production, and they make sure the story is protected. Everything goes through them, so they really deserve it. They've just devoted their whole lives to Harry Potter, and their families too. They're just brilliant. They're really brilliant men.
They're such fans too.
Yeah.
We had David Heyman on MuggleCast a few months ago, and he was just so much fun. Mike and Eric interviewed him, and we played a dueling club segment with him, and he was all for it.
What's that, Andrew?
Played a dueling club segment? Yeah.
We should do that.
Do you want to do a dueling club segment?
Do that again.
Ivana, could you do it? Ivana. No, you don't want to do it?
Oh, okay.
Well, we can do a live one anyway. Eric, you want to lead it?
Sorry?
You want to lead the dueling club segment?
The dueling club?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, we could all take turns off each other, or...
Let's just do one.
Let's just do one?
Yeah.
All right, who's playing?
Micah.
Oh.
You want to do teams?
Teams?
Okay, all right, then you 3 against us 3.
Okay.
Team dueling.
This is brand new. So,
does J.K. Rowling endorse this?
for those listening and those in the audience who are not familiar with the segment or could use a refresher, the Dueling Club is very visual tonight.
Yeah, I like how we had to move the
there are two opposing teams. We decide on a character that we're going to announce, and when the flag is drawn, we both announce a character more or less at the same time, and then we're stuck with those characters. We have to defend those characters based on what we know from the films and the book series, who would win in a duel. It's pretty much...
Completely different from what I was thinking.
Okay.
So it's kind of like rock, paper, scissors, but not really.
So let's who do you guys want?
Genuine dueling, what?
Who do you guys want for your...
just 10 seconds. We'll pick a character. You guys pick a character.
Who's saying it? Do we also like...
What are we doing?
You're just thinking of a character to defend. No, too easy. We need like we need something more interesting. What do you think? We've already dueled these characters.
Okay, we have our selection. Do you guys have yours?
Not yet. 5 more seconds. Any characters.
3, 2, 1. You got yours?
Absolutely.
Okay. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Gandalf.
Neville Longbottom. Gandalf. Hang on.
That was Ben's idea.
Andrew Sims is breaking canon.
That was just a joke.
Okay, who's your real character?
You said the other bearded white
Dumbledore
guy. Yeah, him.
Did you change?
Huh?
You can't change.
Well, we're not really doing Gandalf because he's not in Harry Potter.
Actually, you should have to stick by your Gandalf versus Neville Longbottom. They chose the rules.
Well, you have to do this, Ben. This is all you.
Now, for clarification, are you talking about Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White?
Both. I don't know.
We're talking about You Shall Not Pass Gandalf.
The You Shall Not Pass. That was Gandalf the Grey. Thank you.
Gandalf's pretty much a god. Like, he's like a step below a god. He's a demigod, isn't he? Yeah, that's what he is. So how is Neville going to be a demigod? It doesn't work like that.
My vote is that he's got the spirit. He's got the sheer willingness and the sheer the wit to do it. He's a Gryffindor, and Gandalf is not a Gryffindor.
The wit isn't going to help him. The wit will help him none when Gandalf blasts him across the Great Hall or wherever this duel is taking place.
Well, here Gandalf does his staff and he breaks that bridge in half, right?
Right.
Well, didn't the bridge fall in Death Hallows too? And Neville came out of that?
Neville came back.
And they both tried to stop people from passing. But honestly, who had the better bridge destruction scene? I think it was Gandalf.
Neville.
I think it was Gandalf with You Shall Not Pass. Boom.
Well, so Gandalf's got his wizard stick, which I'm sure has a better name. Neville's got the Sword of Godric Gryffindor, probably older.
Yeah.
But
they chose him. Gandalf probably just picked up a stick and said, I'll use this. This is fine. But it didn't come out of a hat, did it?
Gandalf has the experience, though, whereas Neville's like 12.
He's new.
Gandalf is going after one little bog rod, and Neville's going after 1,000 Death Eaters chasing him.
In fact,
Neville doesn't single-handedly kill 1,000 Death Eaters. If he did, then maybe he could beat Gandalf.
When Gandalf sees the armies coming to Helm's Deep, where he knows there's trouble, he decides, "Oh, I'm going to go run off. I'll get reinforcements, but you'll hear from me in about a week." And he just disappears. Neville takes his Sword of Gryffindor out and he slices anything that comes his way.
All right. Well, I think I know the answer.
Gandalf
but
died.
That's okay.
We'll let the audience choose. Gandalf. Wow.
Yeah!
Good night, everyone.
Okay.
Neville.
Okay, their argument was not compelling at all. How can you pick Neville? Gandalf the Great, come on.
Yeah, because we're at LeakyCon. We're not at we're not at TolkienCon.
Neville isn't real.
Gandalf isn't real.
And that's how we play the Dueling Club.
Well, to wrap up today, we mentioned box office before, but I wanted to mention there is a new number out today. Deathly Hallows Part 2 made $43 million in the midnight box office, which is a new record.
That beats Twilight, our Twilight friends.
Yes.
That beats them.
Yeah, that beat the 30 million. So that's what we have, everybody, for today. Thanks for coming out. Ivana, thank you so much for joining us.